All right, today we are reviewing text structure, so you should have pages 7, 8, and 9 out of your ELA packet. We're going to read through the anchor chart and then read an example of a passage that has some text structure in it, and then we're going to answer some comprehension questions over it. And then once we're done with that, you will take the text structure quick check on Canvas. All right, so let's jump in with our text structure anchor chart. So first thing we need to talk about is, what is text structure? Well, it says up here at the top that text structure is the way that an author organizes a text. So this is the organizational strategy that authors use to organize their text. There is a couple different types of text structure. There's description, sequence, compare and contrast, cause and effect, and problem and solution. So let's talk about each one of those first. Description. Description is a type of text structure that describes a topic by its characteristics and features. So it talks about the different characteristics and features within that text or describes it. Keywords to look for: features, characteristics, examples. Now here's an example of text structure using description. Toothpaste is one thing that people use to clean their teeth. Toothpaste is a type of paste that is used with a toothbrush. It comes in many different flavors and varieties. So what they are doing is they are using descriptions to describe what toothpaste is. That is how they are structuring this passage. The next one is sequence. Sequence is a text structure that arranges events or steps in order of time of occurrence. So it puts them in order, it sequences them. Keywords to begin with: first, next, finally. An example: in order to brush your teeth, you will first need a toothbrush, toothpaste, water, and a towel. Place a thin layer of toothpaste on the bristles of your brush. Next, apply a bit of water to the toothpaste. The next type of text structure is comparing and contrasting. We know a lot about comparing and contrasting. We've done this a lot. So this is a text structure that describes the similarities and differences between two or more topics. So they take two things and describe how they are the same or different. They compare and contrast them. Keywords to look out for: similarly, by contrast, on the other hand. And here's our example. Flossing and using mouthwash are two different ways to kill germs in your mouth. Mouthwash is a liquid that can be quickly used. Floss, on the other hand, is a string-like material that must be inserted in the mouth and slid between teeth. Both of these can help kill germs in your mouth. So they're talking about floss and mouthwash, and they're telling the ways that they are the same or different. They are comparing and contrasting them. Cause and effect: a text structure that writes about events and actions and their causes and effects. So keywords for that are cause, because, or effects. Example: teeth must be cared for and cleaned regularly. If you do not properly and regularly brush and floss your teeth, bacteria will form. This will cause plaque to build up. Plaque may eventually cause tooth decay and gum disease. So it's saying that you need to care for your teeth, because if you don't, this is what will happen. So our cause is not properly brushing your teeth, and the effect is that plaque will build up. And the last one, problem and solution. A type of text structure that writes about a problem and how it can be or is solved. Okay, sorry, I misread that for a minute and I got really confused about what it was saying. So they give you a problem and then talk about how you can solve that problem. Keywords: problem, solved, resolution. Example: how can you clean your teeth when you are not home? So that's your problem. How do you clean your teeth when you're not home? One solution is to carry a travel-sized container of toothpaste and a small toothbrush. You can also choose specific types of sugar-free gum to help clean your teeth until you can brush them. So it gave us a problem and a solution. All right, let's jump down to our passage and our questions, page 8 and 9. We're going to read this passage, and then we're going to answer some questions. So at the top of our passage, it gives us our different types of text structure. Text structure is how the information in a text is organized, and then it gives us our different types so we can review those. There are two different texts that we are going to read. The first one is text 1, and then we will read text 2. All right, let's start with text 1. On January 24th, 2017, Fiona became the first Nile hippo born at the Cincinnati Zoo in 75 years. However, Fiona arrived about 6 weeks early. She weighed only 29 pounds, half the birth weight of a normal hippo. The zoo staff was worried that she wouldn't survive. They made special efforts to care for her, including feeding her from a bottle. A few weeks later, she was able to stand and take her first steps. By mid-March, she had reached 90 pounds, although she was still underweight. She still had to be kept away from her parents until she was strong enough to interact with them. By May, Fiona had grown to 200 pounds. On June 1st, she was able to interact with her mother, Bibi, for the first time. In July, she was introduced to her father, Henry. She continued to grow bigger and stronger. On December 15th, 2017, the zoo announced that Fiona's bottle feedings would end. She was big enough and strong enough to switch to solid foods. It was the end of a long journey, but Fiona had survived. Take a minute and go look through that text and look for some of those key words that might tell us what text structure they used in text 1. Description, chronological order, problem and solution, cause and effect, compare and contrast. Think about which one they are using. Find some key words. All right, we're going to come back and talk about that later. Let's read text 2. As I read text 2, look again for those key words that tell us what text structure might be used. Text 2. On January 24th, a hippo named Fiona was born at the Cincinnati Zoo. However, Fiona arrived 6 weeks early. She weighed about half the birth weight of a normal hippo. The zoo staff sprang into action. They did everything they could to care for Fiona and help her gain weight. They also did something else. They started telling her story through social media. Very quickly, millions of people around the world started following her struggle for survival. By the time she had grown to full health about a year later, Fiona was a star. The effects of Fiona's popularity on the Cincinnati Zoo has been almost unbelievable. Attendance was up 22% a year after her birth. Donations for animal care were double in 2017 than what they were in 2016. By Fiona's first birthday, the zoo had received almost $500 million from outside companies that sold Fiona's products. It estimated that she brought in millions of dollars in extra revenue for the zoo. All right, think about what keywords you saw in that text that might help us determine what text structure is being used. All right, let's jump over here to our questions. Number 1, determine the text structure used in each text. All right, at the top of this passage over here, it has all of our clues and things to help us. All right, so in text 1 and text 2, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think about which text structure is being used in each one, and then we will come back and talk about them. All right, so let's talk about which text structure is used in each text. So for text 1, while I was reading this, I noticed a couple things. It talked about the order in which things happen. It talked about Fiona being born and how much she weighed, then in bottle feedings, and it says a few weeks later she was able to do something else. And then by May, so by a later date, and then on December. So it just kept talking about all these different dates that happened. And that tells me that the text structure that is used is chronological order. It is telling me Fiona's story in the order in which the events happened. So for number 1, text 1, you should have chronological order. For text 2, I noticed that it talked about what happened at first, Fiona being born. And then there's a huge key word that I saw. I saw the effect of Fiona's popularity. So that word effect really stood out to me. And that told me that the text structure used in text 2 was cause and effect. So for text 1, they used chronological order. And for text 2, they used the effect. All right, so we kind of already answered number 2. What text evidence from text 1 helped you determine the text structure used by the author? Well, for text 1, we said that they use the dates of events and they go in order. On January 24th, then by May, then on June 1st, and then on October 15th. So it used the dates in the story and it used them in order. It also described major events from Fiona's first year of life in the order that they happened. All right, so not only did they use the dates, but they put them in the exact order that they happened. So that tells me text 1 is using chronological order. For number 3, what text evidence from text 2 helped you determine the text structure used by the author? Well, we already talked about that too. The text is about Fiona, but it focuses on how the zoo reacted to Fiona rather than just telling her story. So at the beginning up here, it talks about her story, but down here it talks about the reaction of it or the effect of it. In the second text, in paragraph 2, the author uses the word effect. This shows the reader that the first paragraph is the cause, so this is the cause up here, and then down here we have the effect. So the cause is Fiona being born, and the effect is how popular she became and how much more popular the zoo became because of her. All right, I'm going to pause and give you a couple minutes to work on number 4. Number 1, 2, and 3 all kind of went together, and we talked about all of those together. But now I'm going to give you a break, and I want you to work on number 4. All right, let's talk about number 4. It says, what is the topic shared by both texts? Briefly explain why these two texts are on the same topic, but they use different text structures. All right, so both texts are about Fiona, a baby hippo at the Cincinnati Zoo. Text 1 tells the story of Fiona's first year, which makes more sense to use it in chronological order because it's telling the events in the order in which they happened. Text 2 tells us about how the zoo reacted to Fiona and the effects Fiona had on the zoo, so cause and effect structure is used. So depending on the story you want to tell and how you want to tell it will determine what text structure you use. All right? What you need to do now is you need to jump on over to Canvas and you need to take the text structure quick check. All right, make sure you click submit when you are done so you can receive your credit for it. And then tomorrow we will work on reviewing another English language arts skill that we've learned this year. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.